What is up, guys? Welcome back to the series where we're integrating AWS and GitHub Actions using OpenID Connect. So in this video, we're going to be looking at creating the identity provider that specifically authenticates for GitHub. And then we're going to create the role as well as the associated permissions for the pipeline that we're going to be running in GitHub Actions. Right, so now let's go to IAM. Okay, and in IAM, we're going to go to identity providers. As you can see, I don't have any identity providers at this point, so I'm going to add a new one. There's two types that you can create. We are looking for OpenID Connect, which establishes trust between AWS account and an identity provider service, such as Google or Salesforce. Obviously, we're looking at creating one between AWS and GitHub Actions. For that, we're going to need, so if we come here, we're going to need what is known as a URL. In this case, it's token.actions.github-user-content.com. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to need get the thumbprint. Now, this is one way to get it. Another way is just to Google it. But if you say get thumbprint, that will validate the URL we've passed on here. And as you can see, there's the thumbprint over here. So I'm going to copy that, just keep it for later. We can always come back here and get it. Then we are targeting a specific client. So the client we are targeting is the STS Amazon AWS.com, right? And that's obviously all we need to do there. We're not going to add any tags. We're just going to say add provider. A provider is done. So what next we need to do is we need to assign a role to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say assign role. We're going to create a new role versus use a new one. And what I'm going to do is in here, obviously the audience stays the same, but we are going to be targeting a specific organization / account on GitHub called CloudSpace with Siba. And you'll see that as well when we get into the next video. The repository that we're gonna be essentially looking to authenticate will be AWS dash, I'm gonna call it, yeah, let's call it that. So it'll be AWS or OIDC. And the branch will be the main branch, right? So this is very important because, and I'll show you in the next step, we're not going to give it any permissions for now because I want to create inline policies for it. So I'm going to create the role. Sorry, let's just call it, we're going to call it GitHub Actions, CI, CD, role. Yeah. role. Then we'll create that. Cool. There's a role over there. So now if you come here, you'll notice that obviously there's no permissions yet, which we're going to come back to. So, but if you look at the trust relationship here, you'll notice that there's a trust relationship between this role and the identity provider we just created, which itself has a trust relationship between AWS and GitHub. Then what we're going to do here is we're going to be constraining this to assuming this role, and then we are going to strain it to a specific repository, which is going to be in the cloud space with Siba account, and the repository is going to be AWS OIDC. Then the branch itself will be main over here. Cool, that's it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach an inline policy here, and all we're going to give it is sorry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it I'm going to allow it to list all my buckets. That's what I'm going to do, and it's going to do it on all resources. Okay, then I'm going to say next, and then we're going to call this policy GitHub Actions CI cd assume role policy. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna create that. Cool. So that's our role. And those are the permissions that it has. So yeah, that's all we're going to do in this video. In the next video, I'm going to create the repository in question, and then we're going to link that to my local repository, and then I'll we'll link the role to the repository, and then we'll run the pipeline and see if things work as expected. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.